All right, going back in the back catalog of these Game Informers with issue 339. Yeah, Marvel's Midnight Sun. I think this was like January 2022. Marvel's Midnight Sun, a super heroic RPG from the makers of XCOM. So that means it's by what's his name? Valve or somebody else. Let's see. Don't know this chick. Sunfire, perhaps. Iron Man, Wolverine, and Blade. Is that Psylocke? Purple hair? Nah, can't be. GameStop, or you get the Game Informers. Marvel's Midnight Suns. The team behind XCOM is tackling one of Marvel's more obscure corners. We went hands-on and talked to the team behind this intriguing new strategy game. Return of the licenses. I know you're thinking, another issue of Game Informer with another Marvel superhero game on the cover. Over the last 2 years, we've shined the spotlight on Marvel's Miles Morales, the Guardians of the Galaxy, and now the Midnight Suns. A new superhero experience from Firaxis Games, exploring the darker side of the Marvel Universe. I'm a huge comic book fan, and I love seeing these heroes get their games, but my fandom has little to do with them making the covers. Each month, we look at the game. Let me grab my little... 1 second. All right. Get a thing to kind of hold this thing back. All right. Okay, each month we look for the game that stands out from the crowd, excites us, and deserves to have its story told in a big way. The titles held in consideration are often from the world's most celebrated development studios. What we're finding of late... Dang it. It'll get right in a second. Okay, what we're finding of late is many of these creative teams are partnering with big licenses rather than making a sequel to a beloved franchise or dreaming up a new universe. Insomniac Games and Spider-Man Respawn Entertainment and Star Wars Rocksteady Studio and Suicide Squad Machines Games and Indiana Jones. The list goes on and on. Most of these ventures into licensed waters and partnerships with Disney, Star Wars, and Marvel are in the spotlight now, but don't be surprised if Pixar and Disney animation properties join the chorus in the years ahead. Disney's strong reemergence into console video games is one of the biggest stories happening right now. Licensed games are back, and they are getting the respect they deserve. Gone are the days of a game hitting day and dates with a movie. Each title I mentioned above is a unique creation by the development team. Get this together. Development teams that start something new. It's the formula that made both the Batman Arkham and Marvel Spider-Man titles soar, a blueprint most developers are using. Yes, I would love to see more intellectual properties and never before seen worlds, but I also want to interact with some of my favorite comic books and movies in new ways. I think we're going to get a good mix of both over the next few years, much like we did back in the NES and SNES days. I can't wait for you to read what Firaxis is doing with the Marvel Midnight Suns. Game Informer exclusive cover art gives you a good look at the gold and black super team. This beautiful piece is created by comic artist Ryan Stegman and colorist Guru EFX. Read the story, soak in the images, and let me know what you think of this exciting project. I may be wrong, but it feels like we're entering the golden age of superhero games. Be safe, be happy, and game on. Okay, page 10. We'll see it as we go to it. And let me give an outline. Okay, Crisis at Activision Blizzard. Our favorite comic book games. Photo Made Snapshot. Back to Blood with Left 4 Dead. Comic Love. Life is Strange, True Colors. Pokemon Legends, Arceus, Far Cry 6. Tom Clancy, X-Defiant, Weird West, Neon White, Halo Infinite, Death's Door, Psychonauts 2, The Forgotten City, Axiom Verge 2, the Metroid with some Vania, I think. Okay, in this month's letters section, our readers want more PC games on consoles. Think of Ghost of Tsushima is one of gaming's most significant accomplishments and still don't fully comprehend PS5 and Xbox Series X. Tales of Arise. I love that you keep making magazines. I haven't missed an issue in 15 years, and the last year has been one of your best. Nothing will top issue 300. Well, maybe issue 400 will. But I've been pleasantly surprised by the games on your covers over the last few months. We usually get Call of Duty or another franchise with guns, but you show us how diverse and wonderfully colorful gaming can be. Kena, Bridge of Spirits, Psychonauts 2, and Tales of Arise are now on my must-play list. Tales of Arise sounds like an incredible evolution for the series. If I happen to enjoy that game when it releases, what would you say the next best Tales of game is that I can play right now? I took a marker and circled all of the RPGs I want to play from this issue. Tales of Arise, Songs of Conquest, and Battle Cakes look astounding. I usually play RPGs with my mother, and we always look for ones that have spoken dialogue so we both don't have to read. Having to say ready or okay for every text bubble we must read is annoying. Does Tales of Arise have spoken language? Okay, let me read their response instead of going into this next one. The future of role-playing games looks incredibly bright and offers a little something for everyone. Tales of Arise sits atop of several Game Informer staffers' most anticipated list, making it an easy pick for last month's cover honors. We've played the game for a few hours. We can report it has extensive spoken dialogue for story moments, but occasionally falls back upon written text for slower moments in towns and overworld. Alright, yeah, that's what that is. Getting a job writing game reviews. Hello, I've been a massive fan of Game Informer since I was a kid. Recently, I've become more interested in writing reviews or even my impressions of video games. I'm not sure how to get started though. How did any of the reviewers at Game Informers land their current jobs? Are there any recommendations you could give me? Getting into game writing is a combination of knowledge, talent, and luck. You can't do much about the last one, but you can certainly work to improve your chances if luck ever comes knocking. Study writing and journalism to get your written analysis skills up to snuff. Observe the industry and its games and examine the stories and people behind them. Finally, start thinking about the games you play from a critical perspective. Worry less about scoring them at first and instead focus on your perceptions and why a given game provokes those feelings. Look at the game for what it is, then put those positive and negative ideas into words. Getting your writing into the world is also crucial. We recommend starting a personal blog or YouTube channel and freelancing for the various video game outlets that pay writers for their work. We wish you the best of luck in your writing pursuits. Ghost of Tsushima. I play every Sony-made game that comes out and usually enjoy most of them. They are all of the highest quality and often push the boundaries of what we can expect from games. The Sony titles I hear the most about are God of War and The Last of Us, but I think Ghost of Tsushima is Sony's masterpiece. It was so freeing and rewarding at every turn. Never have I been so satisfied by an open world game. It also made me dive into the history books to learn more about the Mongolian invasion and Japanese folklore. Hats off on a great game. Goddamn Mongolians. Always trying to take down my shitty walk. Okay, Attack on Titan. While reading your article about anime games, I was so shocked there was no inclusion of the Attack on Titan games by Koei Tecmo. More specifically, Attack on Titan 2. That game was an absolute masterpiece from start to finish and easily accessible as it is available worldwide on pretty much every modern console. Of course, everyone has their own opinions, but in my opinion, the series was much better than many of the games I saw on that list. Okay, Another anime game recommendation. We'll take it. We had difficulty narrowing down our list, but picked the ones our editors adored most. Thanks for giving us readers Thanks for giving our readers and us another game to consider. Why do new consoles exist? I understand the reasoning behind the new gen systems. The problem is that many people can't afford them and they are almost impossible to get. I feel that people who can't afford one will get shortchanged when it comes to new games. With the games being made only for the new systems, people who use last gen hardware will not be able to play upcoming titles like Senua's Saga or Plague Tale Requiem. I was looking forward to playing the Medium, but it won't work on my Xbox One S. We all wish we didn't have to spend money on new hardware and that games would work on everything just like shows and movies can air on any TV. But hardware cycles are necessary. Every refresh pushes the video game medium to the next level and brings us into worlds and experiences we never thought possible. Pay like you weigh. An old hope. Why doesn't BioWare and Disney want to rake in millions? Make Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2 and bring Star Wars The Old Republic to consoles. Okay, what makes a game a Souls-like? Basically, it's very hard. Floral Fury, cool Cuphead, The Tall Lady, Link and Ganon got number 2. The Tall Lady got number 1. I personally would have probably picked the Cuphead myself, but I guess that has some classy type shadowing going on. Eevee, yeah, I think that's Eevee, and Pokemon stuff and Aerith. Crisis at Activision Blizzard, an overview of the Activision Blizzard lawsuit and its fallout. Okay, on July 20th, the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing, DFEH, filed a lawsuit against Activision Blizzard. With this lawsuit, the state of California seeks to address various labor law violations, including pay discrimination, sexual harassment, and workplace retaliation, uncovered during a 2-year investigation. These violations primarily impact the company's female employees. After Activision and Blizzard merged in 2008, the publisher became one of the biggest in the world. The company works on several franchises, including Call of Duty, WoW, Diablo, and Overwatch. The lawsuit contends that Activision Blizzard's frat boy work culture and discriminatory practices have created a hostile environment for its female workforce, backed by statistics and personal employee reports. According to the DFEH, women hired at Activision Blizzard were consistently offered less money than men in similar positions and afforded fewer opportunities, overlooked for promotions in favor of their male co-workers, and by management's failure to rectify these issues, forced to seek other employment in higher numbers. The legal proceedings also indicate that only about 20% of Activision Blizzard employees are women. The case suggests this represents a clear, unlawful pattern of behavior and calls the company's practices willful, malicious, fraudulent, and oppressive. Right? Last paragraph. The fallout from the DFEH lawsuit is ongoing. In early August, Brack vacated his role as president of Blizzard and left the company, with the head of HR, Jesse Mesuk, departing soon after. 3 Blizzard veterans, Diablo 4 director Luis Borrego, lead level designer Jesse McCree, and WoW senior game designer Jonathan Leecraft followed suit the week after. The company's shareholders have also filed a separate class action lawsuit against Activision Blizzard. They claim the company's unlawfully misled them regarding its discriminatory practices and frat boy culture. It's difficult to say what will happen now, but the story will undoubtedly continue unfolding. Yeah, I haven't heard much about it as of late. Photo made snapshot. But behind the lens of this incredibly popular video game feature, Pokemon Snap. Children of the 90s may remember the surge of enthusiasm surrounding Pokemon Snap's N64 release. Unlike other popular Pokemon titles up to that point, it offered the chance to catch creatures not with the Pokeball but with the camera. The game featured rushing rivers, sunny beaches, and dark caverns, all stuffed with familiar specimens. The most skilled players snapped to our young minds unbelievably realistic shots of those roving Pokemon into their natural habitats while the ever moving vehicle pushed forward. But it wasn't enough to capture wild pictures of our favorite creatures. We needed to share these works of art with the world. Do you think they're going to mention the Blockbuster kiosk where you could print the pictures? Let's skim and try to see if I see it. Blockbuster. Blockbuster. Nah, I don't see it. All right, last paragraph. It would have been hard for anyone with an online presence to avoid seeing images taken from these games, which speaks to another aspect of the modern photo mode. Players showcasing their in-game pictures with these tools simultaneously share the game with everyone in their social media circles. That's a big win for game makers wanting to get their creations in front of as many potential players as possible. Of course, this is not intentional for most would-be virtual photographers, like the kids huddled around Pokemon Snap stations in the late 90s. Most gamers today just want to share cool pictures of their games with their friends. Sounds like they probably did mention it. All right. Most dramatic studio pivots. Hello Games. Pursuing fame and glory, the colorful daredevil Joe Danger races through courses filled with traps, dangerous animals, and wacky obstacles. Moving from the silly side-scrolling Joe Danger games to the procedurally generated space expedition No Man's Sky was a genuinely unexpected pivot. For that, Hello Games gets the top spot. Playground games, Forza Horizon to Fable. Guerrilla Games, Killzone to Horizon Zero Dawn. Lovely art in Horizon. Housemarque, Resogun to Returnal. Nintendo 2D Mario series to Super Mario 64. From Software, Armored Core to Demon's Souls. Valve Software, Half-Life 2 to Half-Life Alyx. Neversoft Entertainment, Tony Hawk Pro Skater to Gun. Sega AM2 arcade games to Shenmue. Naughty Dog, Crash Bandicoot to The Last of Us. Okay, Genshin Impact's exciting future. A bold content cadence keeps the journey going strong. When Genshin Impact launched, the bold style and vast world of discovery resonated with many players. Since its release, significant content updates have made the game bigger and better. As the third region, Inazuma, begins to roll out, there's a lot yet to come. Whether you face the new content alone or in co-op experiences, that's another choice to be made. With Horizon Zero Dawn's Alloy coming to the game for all players, that's another colossal door swung wide open if developer MiHoYo decides to collaborate with another brand and IPs in the future. Last paragraph. While Genshin's monetization system undoubtedly drags down the overall experience, its beautiful world full of fun things to do can be hard to ignore. We'll continue to see how Genshin's incredibly massive shape continues to take form as time goes by. I hear like a lot about this game, but I think it involves cards, but maybe it's only an MMORPG. But I thought it had cards. I don't know. Princess Zelda deserves her own game. This conversation happened to many of us growing up. A parental figure who knows nothing about video games saw us controlling that little green elf man on the television and asked what we were playing. You probably tried to explain this is not simply Mario or Pokemon. This is The Legend of Zelda, an epic narrative with the endearing personalities and spellbinding music. And yes, they're right to immediately assume that you were playing as the titular character, because why wouldn't you? Same as Metroid. Since the first mainline game debuted in '86, Link has consistently emerged as the playable protagonist of the Legend of Zelda series. Well, I mean, you do get what's his name? Link in the other suit. No, I mean Zelda in the other suit. But what about the heroine that the entire franchise is named after? Zelda's time to shine is long overdue, and the literal reincarnation of the omniscient goddess, gaming's favorite princess, has always been more than a damsel in distress. Take, for instance, Zelda's incredibly significant yet sidelined role in Breath of the Wild. Not only did she traverse the entirety of Hyrule with Link and the four champions to prepare for the eventual resurgence of Ganon, Zelda even locked herself in a death pit with the embodiment of evil for over 100 years. I mean, has she really ever needed saving? Why not make Breath of the Wild sequel as a prequel? And Age of Calamity doesn't count, in my opinion, chronicling Zelda's off-screen coming-of-age journey and a sandbox teeming with side quests and exciting mysteries. Last paragraph. And an original story for Zelda could work just as well. In my ideal game, Link is dead, and the princess must set out on her own to defeat a new enemy. Let's be honest, she's more than capable of rising to the challenge. Sheik is that name I was thinking of. Let's be honest, she's more than capable of rising to the challenge. She could easily piece together the Triforce and usher in a golden age. Better yet, during the final arc, Zelda could don the classic green garb of her fallen knight in some hyper-meta goosebumps-inducing tribute, the orchestral score swelling and the boss swooping down from a stormy sky to meet his maker. I hope you're taking notes, Nintendo. Right? Written by Jason Gasayo and associate editor. Celebrate Your Love of Comics by Matt Miller. Samsung S7 tablet. There goes a Electra. Some comic book bookends. Superman Kryptonite Crystal. Dune the graphic novel book 1. Future State the next Batman. And King in Black. Steam Deck. What is it and will it change PC gaming? In mid-July, Valve, the company behind PC gaming's prominent digital storefront, Steam, officially introduced the world to the Steam Deck. The nearly foot-long handheld allows its owners to take the Steam library with them wherever they go. Rumors that the company was working on a handheld device began swirling earlier in the year, but the reveal nonetheless captured the industry's attention. The announcement highlighted the Steam Deck's power and portability. The accompanying reveal video showed the device running AAA games like Control and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order with seeming ease. How does the Steam Deck manage this? Below the device's 7-inch LCD screen capable of 1280 by 800 resolution and 60 hertz refresh rate lies a novel AMD APU. Boasts a 4-core Zen 2 CPU with 2 threads per core and a GPU packing 8 RDNA 2 compute units. Currently, there are 3 different Steam Deck versions to choose from, each being broadly similar except for the internal storage. The cheapest option, priced at $400, has 64 gigs, while the $529 and $649 alternatives have 256 and 512 respectively. Steam Deck runs on the Linux-based Steam OS, has dual touchpads along with standard controller inputs, and has a battery life of anywhere from 2 to 8 hours. The excitement surrounding this new portable device is evident from the response to the first announcement and the subsequent mad dash to get a pre-order. Like last year's scramble to secure PS5 and Xbox Series X/S orders, the process resulted in crashing websites and disappointed customers. The first wave of Steam Deck reservations, which guaranteed a system at launch, rapidly sold out. Steam Decks reserved as of this writing should arrive after the second quarter of 2022. If the Steam Deck pre-orders continue down a similar path as its console counterparts, anyone without a pre-order may have difficulty getting one soon. However much the Steam Deck reservation process recalls Sony and Microsoft's, it's hard to talk about Valve's portable PC without touching on the industry's other major handheld systems like the Switch. All right, we skipping around. Last paragraph. However, the Steam Deck is not the Steam machine, and maybe its portability will make Valve's newest hardware a hit. A handheld PC is an intriguing concept, and Valve's take has enough going for it at launch that it's worth watching. Whether it rockets to success or not, one thing the Steam Deck and the enthusiasm around it highlights is that players and companies alike are excited about portable gaming. Undead Outbreak. World of Warcraft and the award-winning Pandemic board game collide in this cooperative adventure. Okay, haven't heard about that. World of Warcraft: Wrath of the Lich King, a pandemic system board game, is a mouthful of a name. It's also the meeting point between two long-running and beloved franchises. The Warcraft MMO has maintained a place of primacy in video gamers' minds for nearly unprecedented periods since launching in 2004. Likewise, Pandemic and its many offshoots and expansions have garnered tabletop hobbyist enthusiasm since its original release in 2008. And until now, the board game series had yet to venture into licensed territory. The unique appeal of the Wrath of the Lich King and the seamless way the MMO expansion slips into the Pandemic formula made it irresistible combo for the designers at Z-Man Games. And after extensively playing the final version and chatting with the minds behind its creation, the ease with which the two fit together is striking. It seems almost surprising that it took so long for these mammoth properties to come together. Okay, yeah, I have heard about that. It just kind of flew under the radar for me. Didn't know that it was Pandemic because I just saw the World of Warcraft stuff. All right, anyway, skipping to the end, to the last paragraph. After playing after playing a complete game with the designers, I made several more attempts at defeating the Lich King from home. Like with the non-licensed Pandemic games I've enjoyed, I was continually impressed by the ratcheting tension of the system, which uses card shuffling to repeat trouble spots across the board. Okay, I love the looming presence of the Lich King ahead of the final quest. He moves about the board, increasing the danger of his current region, rooted in the core mechanics of a stellar board game, and with the production values and fantasy flair of the Warcraft universe. It's a game that feels primed for success. If only I could say the same about my many attempts to bring down Arthas when I played the Mythic difficulty settings. Right? The darker side of Marvel. Okay. 300 years ago, the world nearly ended. During the Salem witch trials of 1692, a powerful sorceress named Lilith, the mother of demons, launched an assault on our planet. With many army of flesh-starved Hellions at her disposal, Lilith nearly ripped a hole into reality and unshackled the ancient Cthulhu-like Elder God. The world hung on the edge of a dark precipice until a mysterious group of heroes called the Midnight Suns emerged and put Lilith's reign of terror to an end. The world was safe for a time. Now our planet is under siege again. The paramilitary terrorist organization known as Hydra has uncovered Lilith's tomb and resurrected the Mother of Demons. And Lilith is back on the rampage and threatening to finish the job she started centuries ago. Her return is the culmination of a war of prophecy set in motion ages ago, and this time it's going to take the full might of Marvel's greatest and grimmest heroes to put Lilith back underground. Right. Life after XCOM. Firaxis Games is a premier developer of strategy games. Founded in 1996 by legendary designer Sid Meier, the studio was known for its genre-defining work on Civilization and XCOM series. But after the release of XCOM 2 War of the Chosen in 2017, Firaxis' XCOM team stood at a crossroads. Should it make another XCOM, or was it time for something new? I remember being very personally fulfilled at the end of War of the Chosen, says creative director Jake Solomon. We'd just made something really big. We'd made a second XCOM, and then we made the enormous expansion pack. And the idea with that was to fill every hole and make my ideal design for what I thought XCOM was. All right, skipping around. Resurrecting the Ultimate Hunter. Marvel's Midnight Suns begins with an attack by Doctor Strange's home, the Sanctorum. Hydra is on the hunt for magical artifacts, and Strange has one of the world's largest collections of occult paraphernalia. During this attack, Strange learns that Hydra plans to help Lilith resurrect the elder god Cthulhu, an almighty being who wants to consume our planet. An ultra-rare celestial event known as the Midnight Sun is only a few months away, and this event gives Lilith a window of opportunity to put Earth on Cthulhu's menu. Strange knows that Lilith must be stopped. Unfortunately, that task won't be easy. Cthulhu, that's that dude on Marvel vs. Capcom 2, right? That tentacle dude, I think. Okay, who are the following? Who are the fallen? Lilith controls a massive army of demons, and she adds to her numbers almost every day. One of Lilith's most insidious powers is the ability to corrupt and control anyone with a touch. This ability means that any Marvel hero or villain can fall under her spell. Firaxis calls these corrupted versions of popular characters the Fallen. And encounters with these characters throughout the campaign function like boss battles. Firaxis isn't ready to share specific names at this point. Still, the Fallen are recognizable and iconic faces from Marvel lore, and Firaxis was quick to reiterate that players will encounter fallen versions of both villains and heroes. Okay, Midnight Sun is based on a classic 90s comic run where Rise of Midnight Sun, Firaxis wanted to change the spelling of Midnight Suns to reflect how the team now has a wider gender inclusivity. Okay, Suns, O, and then now it's Suns with a U. They call me Sun because I shine like one. Card-based heroics. Okay, I'm with them cards. After resurrecting the Hunter, the Midnight Suns learn that Hydra is using experimental gamma science on some of the magical artifacts they ransacked from Doctor Strange's sanctum. This info leads the Suns to the front door of Dr. Faustus's lab. Comic fans may be familiar with this criminal mastermind who psychologically manipulates his enemies. In Firaxis' version of the Marvel Universe, Faustus leads a fringe section of Hydra obsessed with the occult. Get to the cards. All right, last paragraph here. Undoubtedly, the most significant change to Firaxis' take on tactical combat is the introduction of card-based attacks. Hell yeah. Playing cards represent many cards are basic attacks, but support cards heal and otherwise buff your heroes. These cards are shuffled into a deck and dealt to players at the beginning of each round. Generally, players can play 3 cards each turn, but like in all good strategy games, there are ways to manipulate the system. For example, some cards give you the chance to play an additional card if you defeat an enemy with that attack, while another attack can chain through multiple enemies within a set range. Every hero has their own set of cards tailored to their unique abilities. Blade is a straightforward damage dealer, but some of his cards allow him to apply bleed to enemies or steal health to heal himself. Ghost Rider is more of a loose cannon. His attacks are potent, but many come at a cost, meaning he might also damage himself or an ally. Captain America is a mix between a damage dealer and a tank that can absorb a lot of damage. Meanwhile, Doctor Strange is a support character, so many of his abilities allow players to draw extra cards or augment the power of their cards. Okay, what them cards look like? Okay, it has a stat on the top left, or quick strike, slash, damage in that sword, and an attack, heroic skill. Cool. Players are dealt 6 cards each round. These cards feature all of the hero's powers and abilities. I'm with it. I'm so with it. I'm still not going to play it, I'm sure, but I'm with it. Okay, Lilith leads an army of demons called Lilin, and she hopes to collect all the pages from the Darkhold to resurrect an ancient elder god named Cthulhu. Cool. Okay, like the rest of the heroes, the Hunter has their own set of abilities, and while players can customize each character's deck, the Hunter's suite of skills is extra elastic. Broadly speaking, their powers are a balance between light and dark. Light powers are support skills that allow you to heal your team and augment your support skills that allow you to heal your team and augment your allies' skills. While dark powers are devastating damage attacks, naturally some of the most potent attacks come with the cost, so you might end up damaging yourself or inadvertently restricting your companion's movements in some way. Skipping around, Blade, kind of looks like Wesley right there. But each hero performs differently in battle. Blade is a straight attacker, but many of his abilities allow him to deal bleed damage or steal life from his targets. At the Forge, players unlock new cards and other upgrades. Okay, Daywalker, 3 cost, it looks like. 3 attack. Chain 4, deal damage to up to 4 targets. Heroic. Cool. Okay, what does Midnight Suns mean for the future of XCOM? Nobody loves XCOM as much as we do, says creative director Jake Solomon. I'm obviously very personally tied to it, but the truth is, even if I'm not designing it, even if my team isn't making it, that doesn't mean XCOM is not going to happen. Chimera Squad is a perfect example of that, and XCOM is successful and is an amazing game. And I hope to die making XCOM 8. That'd be the perfect way to go. Oh yeah. Living with Legends. Alright, skipping around. Cool. Ghost Rider. Who I thought might be Sunfire at first. And okay, maybe that's Miss Marvel. I don't know. Playable heroes including Captain America, Doctor Strange, Iron Man, and Wolverine. But who is this chick though? Okay, but between battles, heroes return to the Abbey. In this space, players can hunt for secrets, upgrade their cards, and deepen their friendships with other heroes. Cool. Okay, the Midnight Sun rises. As our time with Marvel's Midnight Suns drew to close, we couldn't escape just one more turn itch that makes the best tactical game so compelling. Firaxis mastered those strategic elements with the XCOM series and is bringing that knowledge of deep strategic play to a brand new world. That journey hasn't been easy. Marvel's Midnight Suns and XCOM's are polar opposites in many ways. However, based on everything we've seen, the Firaxis team shouldn't be too hard on itself. Marvel's Midnight Suns is something new for the studio. It's also something new for Marvel, a meaty 40 to 60 hour RPG full of vibrant characters, rich strategic combat, heartfelt character exchanges, and an epic superheroics. Firaxis looks on track to nail every element. The team has nothing to fear, except maybe the Mother of Demons. Cool. Might look more into that game. Although I have no next-gen console, maybe on PC. Our favorite comic book games. Gaming and comic books have had a long and fruitful relationship. More than many entertainment mediums, the two often share a common purpose and direction. Through the need for concise storytelling, visual flair, memorable characters, and visceral action, it's no surprise that many of the crossovers and homages inspired by comic books end up finding greater success than other licensed properties. Alright, X-Men Arcade 92. Triumph is the word that first comes to mind when I think about the legendary X-Men arcade game. As a 90s kid and fanboy for X-Men, the animated series, the arcade game was everything I could have ever wanted. Not only did it look dazzling, and because Dazzler, but it supported a whopping 6 players. My brother and I always tried to conquer it, but never could. Sometimes it was just us. Other times, 1 or 2 kids would join in. Then the stars aligned during one faithful session. We started a new game, and another kid joined soon after. Then after, another. Eventually, we amassed an entire 6-player team for the first game. For the first time, we worked as one, and it felt like we were the X-Men, strangers with different skills uniting to topple Magneto. Eventually, we succeeded. And X-Men was the first arcade game I'd ever beaten. After a round of high fives, our fellowship disbanded and mysteriously as it formed. Sometimes as I watch the sunset, I ponder where these heroes are today. Ah, what a nice story. 2009, Arkham Asylum. Yeah, I played that one. That one was great. Batman Arkham Asylum begins with a long conversation between Batman and the Joker. This moment is important not just for establishing the dark conflicts at hand, but to show the superhero video games can be more than a showcase of powers and can slow down to focus on the characters, their opposing morality, and their history together. In this maiden release for the franchise, developer Rocksteady Studios fully explores everything that makes Batman tick. He's a demon of the night that strikes from the shadows, a martial arts expert that can stand tall against a dozen enemies, and a skilled detective that can solve any crime. Every inch of the game is inspired, from Arkham's soaring gothic architecture to the carefully paced gameplay flow. You feel like Batman. You care about his story, you fear his threats, and you can't wait to see how it all concludes. As an avid reader of comic books since the age of 8, Arkham Asylum was a dream come true and a game changer for how video games handled heroes in capes and tights. Marvel Strike Force 2018. After my time. Marvel Strike Force has been my daily game for more than 3 years now. Upon its 2018 launch on iOS and Android, I immediately loved the character collection system, the turn-based combat, and even the resource allocation mechanics requiring me to make the tough decisions about which characters I want to grow. While the systems I was initially drawn to allowed the developer to install predatory microtransactions, including 2 monthly $20 battle passes, around intentional bottlenecks, I've continued playing in the name of learning more about the Marvel Universe. I adore these characters, and even though the story is light, the roster is undeniably massive. I love learning about obscure heroes and villains as they come to Marvel Strike Force, and then when I seek out comics or watch them make their MCU debuts, it makes it that much more impactful for me, further enhancing something I already love. Is that the fighting game, or which one is that one? Turn-based combat? Nope, I don't know that one. Alright, The Incredible Hulk, Ultimate Destruction, 2005. Last few sentences. Especially in an era that featured so many Rush licensed games, Ultimate Destruction stands as one of the shining examples of how to create a superb power fantasy that captures the mighty feeling of being super. City of Heroes. Unfortunately, the game's official server shut down in 2012, making it the product of a bygone era. City of Heroes remains one of my favorite multiplayer games of all time. I miss it clearly. Okay, The Walking Dead. Yeah, that's my game. It's one thing to... Man, let's start at the top. In his Walking Dead comic book series, Robert Kirkman created a dark and gritty world, but I still wasn't prepared for what Telltale's The Walking Dead had in store. Its first season came out swinging with difficult choices, shocking cliffhangers, and memorable characters. It most struck a chord with the tender relationship between its protagonist, Lee, and a young girl named Clementine. Clementine was left to fend for herself, and though we had to protect, raise, and prepare her for this harsh world. It's one thing to read or watch events play out in Kirkman's unforgiving landscape. It's another to actually be behind the wheel, making the decisions. Telltale nailed what made the comic so popular, quickly establishing that no character was safe and constantly providing reasons to second guess who can be trusted and when people are at their worst. The first season's memorable ending made me cry. I expected the zombie guts and tension, but not that kind of emotional investment. Great little pick your destiny game. Marvel Spider-Man 2018. Haven't gotten to it. Spider-Man will always be a game near and dear to my heart, even if I have no personal attachment to the character. Insomniac's 2018 game wouldn't usually be something I'd enjoy, but it was the circumstances in which I played it that made it memorable. I got Spider-Man the day after surgery. I had cancer and had to have an operation to amputate that part of my body with a tumor. It was scary. I was young and I was in immense pain on top of everything else. And while Spider-Man didn't change any of these facts, it did become one of my only escapes for that entire excruciating week. Spider-Man is a rare game I've completed to 100%. I played through the story, crushed every side quest, and found every collectible, and within a matter of a week or two. I'd also swung just to I'd also just swung around New York for hours, going up and down, here and there, and all the way back. With nothing else to do, Spider-Man, despite all of the things I didn't like, is still a game I cherish for getting me through one of the worst stretches of his life. Man. Spider-Man and Venom, Maximum Carnage. I had that one. 94. Spider-Man and Venom. No. I had the Sega CD one. My bad. It's a single player side scrolling beat 'em up Marvel ride in which both Spider-Man and Venom unabashedly go after their foes, including the chaotic Carnage himself. After he escapes incarceration to cause as much destruction as possible, players control Spidey and Venom as they try to minimize the chaos, leading to a wild ride for a Marvel fan. Pair that with the comic book style cutscenes and the storyline reflection of the Maximum Carnage comic arc itself, and you've got the perfect side-scrolling adventure. Plus, it has Firestar and Black Cat as characters, as well as two characters who didn't get nearly the love they deserve. X-Men Legends 04, Raven Software must have had... Okay, yes, I'm skipping a little bit of these. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game. I know nothing of these things. Marvel vs. Capcom 2, New Age of Heroes, back in 2000. Cash Money Records taking over. Yeah, we all know about Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Leading the Horde. Yeah, we on 45 minutes. And 45 minutes, about 40 more pages, so we just skipping through. Nearly 13 years after taking the cooperative shooter genre by storm with Left 4 Dead, Turtle Rock Studios is looking to reclaim the throne with Back 4 Blood. Nice. Founded in 2002, Turtle Rock Studios got its start working on the Counter-Strike and Half-Life series alongside Valve. However, the studio truly made its name through its first all-original game, a cooperative zombie shooter called Left 4 Dead. Valve was so impressed by the project that it acquired Turtle Rock in 2008 and released the game later that year. Left 4 Dead was a smash hit for the developer and both paved the way for the co-op shooting genre and contributed to a zombie explosion in gaming. Following the studio's split from Valve in 2009, where Valve retained Left 4 Dead IP, Turtle Rock began work on what would eventually become the asymmetric multiplayer shooter Evolve. Valve put out a second Left 4 Dead developed in-house, and countless other studios replicated the formula to varying results. Still, few captured the magic of that first Left 4 Dead. Now the studio that popularized the genre is back with a new effort that not only carries the tradition of its most popular game, but expands the formula in new directions. Running for Our Lives keeps going. The early goings of the stage take place in a dilapidated apartment complex, while the sorry state of the building is terrible news for those without renter's insurance. The loot found in the rooms gives us plenty to pick up. In just this early section, I grab extra copper and some medical supplies in case things get hairy later. Of course, these apartments are not without zombie residents, but we dispatch these basic ridden with little hassle. Okay, nice heart chin. Keep them coming back for more. Back 4 Blood launches in October with multiple co-op campaigns and a fun competitive multiplayer mode, but Turtle Rock has plans for post-launch content and updates. In addition to improvements through patches, the studio is also contemplating DLC, including maps, characters, and campaigns. Last paragraph. Ready to feast. While many players have already gotten their hands on Back 4 Blood through various alpha and beta tests, we still have a lot to learn about the game. Turtle Rock Studios certainly thinks that the game appeals to the fervent community waiting for a worthy Left 4 Dead successor. We won't know how much staying power Back 4 Blood has until after its launch, but the foundation is absolutely in place for players to have more fun than should be allowed in the apocalypse. Okay. 99% Guilty, an inside look at Lost Judgment. We play several hours of Ryu Ga Gotoku's detective game and talk to the producer about its socio-political themes. Okay, in Japan, more than 99% of court trials end in conviction. Damn. It's a staggering number and one not without controversy. In recent years, people have come forward claiming they were wrongfully convicted, and unsurprisingly, the Japanese judicial and policing systems are the focal points of a lot of controversy. Shoji Sakurai spent 29 years in prison after being convicted of a murder robbery. After that, he fought for 15 years for a not guilty verdict in a retrial. In 2013, Sakurai told the BBC about his experiences being interrogated. How before he was even convicted, the police treated him like a criminal, beating him down until he signed a confession. They interrogated me day and night, telling me to confess. After 5 days, I had no mental strength left, so I gave up and confessed, Sakurai told the outlet. In recent years, many Japanese games feature strong condemnations of the country's judicial system and the powers that be. Ryu Ga Gotoku Studios, RGG, is at the forefront. The developer behind the Yakuza series and its spin-off franchise, Judgment. In 2019, the first Judgment game, the company tackled a story about wrongful convictions. And in 2019, it followed that up with Yakuza Like a Dragon, centered on corruption within the highest branches of the Japanese government. And now the Lost Judgment, the studio is once again tackling injustices within Japanese society. We recently had a chance to go hands-on with several levels of Lost Judgment and speak to its producer, Kazuki Hasakawa, about the game development right alongside the campy gameplay RGG fans expect. Is a game obsessed with justice in terms of what it means and the levels of dangers who serves it. All right, last paragraph. Our time with Lost Judgment's story is short, but its themes are apparent in the opening minutes, and the level with Watanabe more so. Its synopsis speaks to the game tackling current and troubling subjects. Whether or not RGZ sticks the landing remains to be seen. It has a track record of handling its themes well and not. But it's refreshing to see the studio use the medium to bring awareness to real problems. That counts for something. Oh yeah. That is to be lauded. Okay, ending empathy. The making of Life is Strange, True Colors. Life is Strange made a name for itself by focusing on relatable characters dealing with complex real-life issues. The series has tackled mental health, identity, and even racism in its stories. Along the way, relationships between characters such as Chloe and Max's friendship and Sean and Daniel's sibling bond have driven each narrative in memorable ways. The games have always centered on our choices and how they shape the people and world around us. As the series goes into its third iteration, it leans into its strength of authentically portraying life's hardships and complicated emotions. Welcome to Haven Springs. I'm just skipping. We got like 5 minutes. All right, last paragraph. Navigating emotions is already complicated, but Deck 9 takes it to a new and intriguing level by making players consider the different facets of empathy and its positive and negative parts. Since empathy is the driving force behind the game, it makes sense to challenge the players with complexities. Here's hoping it makes the choices hit a little differently, allowing True Colors to have its own unique identity within the series. Right. Pokemon Legends Arceus, last paragraph. Pokemon Legends Arceus continues to look like a promising step into the right direction for the franchise as it grows into the new console home. With gorgeous environments, an intriguing story, and a ton of Pokemon to interact with, we're hopeful that Legends Arceus is the series reinvention players have wanted for years. Far Cry 6. Last paragraph. Far Cry 6 starts with a bang from both narrative and action standpoints. I'm curious if Ubisoft can carry forward with these emotional gut punches without falling victim to the cognitive dissonance for which Far Cry is often known. Hopefully, the enjoyment we get from flying around in our wingsuits, firing over-the-top weapons, and fighting alongside a cute winter dog named Chorizo doesn't contrast too harshly with the story of an island in political peril. Only time will tell if Ubisoft can balance these disparate tones, but in my time playing, I had a blast and still felt the weight of the dark narrative beats. Yeah, I think they were complaining about this game in a later issue. Talking about it's too on the rails or something. Alright, NBA 2K22. Other additions include the return of drafting for my team and my NBA/WNBA having a sharper focus on the staff behind the players, meaning scouting, training, and coaching are much more impactful on your team's success. Time will tell if all these changes prove successful, but we're hoping Visual Concepts comes back stronger and in better shape for the new season. Tom Clancy's X-Defiant. Okay, last paragraph. The sheer grittiness of Ubisoft's worlds is appropriately returning, but this time it's juxtaposed with vivid, graffiti-laden backdrops. This is the mosh pit quality the developers excitedly mentioned. Ultimately, the game's press release says it's best. X-Defiant will immerse players at the forefront of the Tom Clancy universe at iconic locations in the throes of Technicolor chaos, with maps mixing indoor and outdoor environments, ensuring smooth gameplay and unpredictable engagements. Consequently, the overall game feel is at the forefront of what makes X-Defiant a potential success. Each firearm and myriad of attachments available in-game will fit any playstyle. These tight gunplay mixed with sliding physics might appeal to die-hard Warzone and Apex Legends fans. Like those two games, X-Defiant is a multiplayer-only title, so future content rollouts will likely keep the leaderboard grinders coming back for more. Weird West. During our time with Weird West, it was hard to get a sense of the story or much else beyond the general reactiveness of the world, which isn't a knock. It's an immersive sim. The way the world reacts to your actions is front and center. In that respect, Weird West has an uninterested wolf eye, may be a new studio, but its development team has a proven track record with this kind of game, and we're looking forward to seeing more when it's released this fall. Company of Heroes 3. Company of Heroes 3 won't be here until late 2022, but chances to play before then in various alphas, betas, and other tests are likely to dot the landscape. Final Fantasy 16 Wind Waker. No, 14 Wind Waker. That expansion came from the moon. Wind Waker should wrap up some of the stories that hundreds of hours of gameplay have gone into telling, creating a fresh point for the game to move forward in a post-Endwalker world. While we don't know what will happen in the final days of the Final Fantasy XIV world, apocalyptic scenarios can provide exciting points for new beginnings. Like, what if they went through with it and started an entirely new campaign out of a true cataclysm? It could happen. We'll have to see later this year. Neon White. Yeah, so I don't know if everyone else involved likes to hear that I want to make a cult game because financially making a cult game isn't a great idea, Esposito says. And what I wanted to do with Neon White was to make it so this game is not trying to be for everyone. It's trying to be a game for a really specific people. And if it does hit correctly for those people, it will be their favorite game. That's really what I'm trying to do here. All right, let's read the first paragraph. Sounds interesting. Ben Esposito isn't making Neon White for everyone. In fact, everyone... No, even though he admits it's probably not the best marketing move, he says he's trying to make a cult game. He wants Neon White to find players that love it the way he loves cult games that influenced him, like God Hand or El Shaddai, Ascension of the Metatron. Put another way, Neon White is a game for freaks. Yeah, I actually have an Xbox 360, and I really want to play this game, but not that much though. But it does look very interesting though, El Shaddai. Looks like a Bayonetta, what's his name, like that vampire game. But man, it does look cool as hell. But maybe one day I'll sit down and play this, but I doubt it. But anyway, back to the story. And another paragraph. Put another way, Neon White is a game for freaks. The game centers on the aptly named Neon White, an assassin from hell fighting demons in an attempt to secure a new life in heaven. While on the surface the gameplay looks like an anime-inspired Quake or other similar first-person shooter jump map homage, Neon White's hook comes from its card system and how it affects... Oh man, cards again? Okay. In Neon White's, cards are guns. Depending on what card you have, that's what gun you're using. If you have the pistol card, you're shooting a pistol. However, before it's been used up all of its weapon magic, let's say this is so silly, Esposito admits, laughing, before it's used up all its weapons magic, I can at any time choose to discard it actively, which will get rid of the card, but instantly I'll be able to do a movement ability. So like the pistol, for instance, lets me do a double jump in the air. The rifle lets me dash forward and kill anything in my path. The result, judging the trailer, is a tense game of juggling priorities as you jump around each level blasting enemies, and admittedly it looks a bit too intense for standard controls and more suited for keyboard or mouse setups. It'll be interesting to see how and if it works better on one versus the other when the game is released. Most people likely caught wind of Esposito from his previous projects, Donut Country, a cute relaxing game about a mischievous raccoon. Visually, Neon White stands in a stark contrast, both amply from anime and smaller, more experimental Japanese games we don't see much of anymore. Shinji Mikami's work in the 2000s, like the aforementioned God Hand, is an inspiration, Esposito says, as are games like Goichi Suda, such as Killer 7 and No More Heroes. Neon White's life sim aspects pull from Danganronpa and Persona series. All of this is on top of a hero shooter elements informed by games such as Team Fortress 2. In an interesting, albeit bizarre hodgepodge of different influences, all coming together in a game that looks visually distinct from other games in 2021, while also feeling and sounding nostalgic for fans of Japan's early to mid 2000s game scene. And of course, that's the point. Neon White looks like a game made for that specific audience, even if it's the biggest in the world. Very interesting. I guess that's in a Johnny. Nah, that's not in a Johnny. NHL 2022. Very brisk. EA's NHL series looks like the best it ever has, with better lighting and uniform improvements and enhanced player likenesses. Time will tell how these X factors change the competition, but it's about time we had some new challenges to confront on the ice. After all, isn't part of the fun stopping the very best? Kimberly Wallace. Astria Ascending. Illuminating the beauty of turn-based combat. combat. Astria Ascending shows promise, but I hope some areas get improved before launch, especially the atrocious voice acting. I love building my characters, picking their jobs, and deciding where to invest my skill points, but the dungeons were boring, straightforward affairs, and I worry about the difficulty balancing and the potential reliance on grinding to get the skills necessary to succeed. Call of Duty Vanguard. While Sledgehammer's helming a World War II story, Treyarch tackling zombies, and Raven bringing the war zone, Call of Duty Vanguard is tapping into tons of specialized talents. We'll see how it comes together in November. Halo Infinite. Yeah, that was a little while ago. Considering 343 has plenty to fix and adjust, my time with Halo Infinite has been a blast. It's shaping up to be a reason for fans of the original trilogy to return to the series when it launches, hopefully later this year. Stray. Stray is set to be released in early 2022. The cat avoided these enemies by quickly dodging and using light-based weapon. Tome. Gamers looking for time to relax should take note of this black and white delight. Described by developers something we made as a photographic adventure with calm music, Tome sets the player on a quest to reach the game's highest peak to experience the titular phenomenon. Along with the monochromatic path, you will meet a cast of colorful characters who will ask for favors, all of which require your trusty camera. Tome will be released for Switch and PC later this year. Demon Slayer Kimutsutsu no Yaibi, the Hinokami Chronicles. Demon Slayer took the world by storm back in 2019, and a recent Mugen Train movie is Japan's highest grossing film of all time. So it wasn't a matter of if we'd get a Demon Slayer video game, it was a matter of when. The Hinokami Chronicles follows Tanjiro's Season 1 journey. Vivid art, evocative of the beloved manga, and combat designed by CyberConnect 2 might have this a guaranteed purchase for anime fans on October 15th. Super Monkey Ball, Banana Mania. Super Monkey Ball fans rejoice. Sega is remastering and repackaging over 300 courses from the Super Monkey Ball and Super Monkey Ball 2 and Super Monkey Ball Deluxe in Banana Mania. These 2000s era stages have been shined up with HD polish and can be played alone or with up to 3 other players in local co-op. Banana Mania also includes 12 classic minigames, a story mode, new characters, online leaderboards, and more. EI, oh, hey, what's popping tonight? We'll roll the clock back on October 5th for PlayStation and Xbox consoles, Switch, and PC. Solar Ash. From the creators of Hyper Light Drifter, Solar Ash is a sci-fi action-adventure platformer. It follows the story of Rei as she continues to save her home from being swallowed by a black hole-like entity called the Ultra Void. The game's signature skating traversal helps you take on the giant beast as you delve deeper into the void. Launching October 26th for PlayStation 5, PS4, PC. Solar Ash looks like one of the best compelling indies of 2021. The Artful Escape. Francis Vendetti is a guitar prodigy smothered by his folk singer uncle, legend. Vendetti takes a stunning musical journey through space to break free from society's expectations and develop a new stage persona. The game will have more than one kind of star power, with actors Lena Headey, Jason Schwartzman, Mark Strong, and Carl Weathers voicing the actors. The Artful Escape will be available via Game Pass on Xbox Series XX, One, and PC on September 9th. Death Stranding Director's Cut. Alternatively, newcomers have an ideal, definitive take to see what this wild world has to offer. Completely remastered for PS5, Death Stranding Director's Cut arrives on September 24th. And this is 2021, by the way. Skin Deep. What do you get when you have a team that just... Well, I mean, is it 2021? I don't know. What do you get when you have a team that just wants to make a weird shooter? A game where cats are in charge? That's exactly what a team over at Blendo Games is doing with this newest title, Skin Deep. Ashes of Creation. Ashes of Creation aims to bring back those social mechanics that defined the early days of MMOs, and we can't wait to see how the game shapes up when it hits the PC. No release date yet, but alpha testing is already underway. Storyteller. Twist the supernatural tale and its fancy, or go the more Shakespearean route. The choice is yours. Storyteller is coming to Switch and PC. Dead Space. Dead Space lore to flesh out the existing narrative. Best of all, the remake will not have any microtransactions. Dead Space is early in development and currently has no release window, but we'll wait to relive our nightmares aboard this newly renovated Ishimura. Editor's choice. Death's Door. Got a 9 out of 10. That's the last paragraph. These amusing moments complement weightier themes about respecting the dead, the fear of death's inevitability, and whether anything we accomplish truly matters when our time is limited. Death's Door isn't the most profoundly written story, but it handles these sensitive topics well. My favorite moments outside of its wonderful moment-to-moment action and exploration are when it reminds us that death isn't something to be feared. Rather, it's just a necessary step in the cycle of life, a cycle that can't exist without it. All right, first paragraph. Death is one of the few things we all have in common. We all experience death sooner or later, and that can be terrifying because we truly don't know what awaits us on the other side. Can't tell that to some people. Salvation, Oblivion, Death's Door offers an amusing interpretation of death by framing it as boring, day-to-day business run by crows. While some of the crows may not find much enjoyment in their work, playing Death's Door couldn't be further from their dull reality. It's an entertaining and engrossing action-adventure romp that you do well to enjoy before your time is up. Haha. Psychonauts 2. Got a 9. Psychonauts 2 is mainly about Raz's psychic development, but also focuses intently on the life of Ford Cruller, a character who appeared in the first game and is born again in a truly fascinating way. But for the sake of spoilers, I won't go into Ford's involvement too deeply, but satisfyingly and shockingly payoffs come from it. And the words he introduces to Raz are alarming in the best ways possible. I adored almost every second of Psychonauts 2. It achieves something I don't often see in games, a continual sense of awe as each of its worlds unfold. It took 16 years to reach release, but Double Fine has delivered an incredible sequel. I hope we get a third installment that doesn't take nearly as long to create. Wow. Madden NFL 22. Despite the several technical issues on the field, action of Madden 22 continues to improve in small ways. However, the upgrades and improvements are largely overshadowed by the game's problems and the series' overall stagnation, making it difficult to recommend for week 1. Gotta get the DLC in. 12 minutes, got an 8. 12 minutes is ambitious both in its narrative and gameplay. It restricts players to brutal rules, and its tragedies truly horrified me. And while its gameplay never let me experiment as much as I wanted to, I still wish my cup of water plan had worked. I can't stop thinking about the experience. I don't want to be trapped in the game's time loop any longer, but the entire adventure will stick with me. 12 minutes is a case study on a game thinking outside the box, playing by its own rules, and worthwhile experience for that alone. All right, first paragraph. Getting stuck in a narrative time loop is a unique sort of hell. On the one hand, being stuck creates a connection between mechanics, story, and player engagement, rarely possible in video games. Like your protagonist, you're trapped, both caught in a never-ending cycle you are unable to break. On the other hand, the experience can be frustrating when you want nothing more than some shred of progress. So goes 12 minutes, a fascinating game that unravels its story 12 minutes at a time. Interesting. The Forgotten City. Yeah, I heard about this. Got a 9. The Forgotten City does a great job at making you feel like a skillful sleuth, pushing you to run across town with sizzling leads. The only downfall of this excitement is some of the more significant moments come up short in visualization. If characters aren't doing anything other than talking, they often move in strange ways, and the environmental events like falling debris are quite janky. You also won't learn much from the facial expressions or body language, as characters are all primarily expressionless, yet are thankfully saved by exceptional voice work and writing. I think this is an indie or something. A narrative masterpiece. Something about Trump. Man, let's read the first paragraph. So many games, boys, so many games. A Roman city resides within a large mountain, hidden from light and prying eyes. Only 23 people call this secret society home, and they appear to live harmoniously together. But looks can be deceiving. Time has taken its toll on each soul, but they can never leave, and more pressing yet, can't sin. For even the most minor white lie or act of theft will steal the life from everyone. An angry God lords over this cave, and any misgiving will trigger a curse called the Golden Rule. The offenses of previous generations can be seen across this city. Grim reminders not to sin, no matter where you are or what you're doing. These people need your help, and they somehow summon you from 2,000 years in the future. Equipped with technologies they've never seen before, like a flashlight, you're now a part of their world, a newcomer that these people don't seem to fear or question. But why? The Forgotten City skillfully plays up this mystery through a beautifully penned story loaded with meaningful player choice, making you feel like you are genuinely sculpting your path as the plot unfolds. That sounds so damn interesting. PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X, S1, and PC. I mean, if nothing else, you got a PC, probably. Alright, Pokemon Unite. Got an 8. Pokemon Unite is a fun way to spend your time despite these frustrations. The game eats away the hours of my day, as I reassuringly say to myself, just one more match. Battles highlight the spectacle the Pokemon series is known for, and with so many abilities to pick, no match feels similar to the last. The game's simple mechanics make for an approachable mobile experience, and with a catalog of nearly 900 Pokemon to pick from, my hopes are high for the future of Pokemon Unite. Is that basketball game? Yeah, I think that's I think that's that basketball game. All right, Axiom Verge 2 got a 7.775. I guess it's still by like a single man created it. Nonetheless, even when Axiom Verge 2 left me frustrated, I never lost the sense of intelligent design and mind-bending premise. With these first two games, Hap has laid the groundwork for a particularly weird and captivating fiction, and we've only just scratched the surface of its secrets. While I hope I don't have to wait another 6 years to play Axiom Verge 3, I'm fascinated enough to have a controller at the ready for its inevitable return. Thomas Hap's 2015 game Axiom Verge is a triumph of both singular vision and nostalgia, a game of astounding scope, especially considering it was accomplished almost entirely by a single person. That project also earned its reputation as the most Metroid-like game ever released, not bearing the Metroid name. Years later, the sequel is more confident and it strides away from that core inspiration, but it remains no less impressive in size and breadth. Players can anticipate a lengthy and thoughtfully crafted adventure through gear-gated paths and an elaborate sci-fi narrative, but Axiom Verge 2 is also a game that skirts the line between demanding patience and inducing frustration. The pacing lacks some of the big moments that might lend structure and excitement, and the many interconnected corridors begin to blend into a long and confusing blur. Wow. All right, 7.75 though. And for the last few, Eldest Souls, 8.25. Eldest Souls is a no-brainer if you already enjoy punishing Souls-like games, but the forgiving health system and honed-in challenge may entice newcomers to brave its dangers. Neo, The World Ends With You, 8. In some ways, it's disheartening that Neo, The World Ends With You doesn't evolve much from its predecessor. It may even feel like a step back, but there is still a fun game here that I had trouble putting down. 8.25, The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles is a solid package, retaining the charm and entertainment of previous entries. It's not the series' best, but there's plenty to keep you entertained as you work through case after case. 7.75, Cris Tales. RPG fans still have an enjoyable and often delightful adventure to play. However, with myriad frustrations, repetitive combat, and mechanics that don't live up to their potential, Cris Tales falls short of the greatness for which it seemed destined. Boyfriend Dungeon. 7. Boyfriend Dungeon puts a roguelike spin on the dating sim genre and weaves a compelling storyline with a comedic twist reminiscent of games like Dream Daddy. 7.25, The Ascent. The Ascent has issues, but those issues didn't detract from my overall enjoyment of the game. I won't write my thesis on its commentary on capitalism, but I'll finally remember my co-op sessions where I tore through this cyberpunk world. Marvel at the Midnight Suns. All right, great issue. Check back with me for the latest issue, and which will be 346, I believe, and well, something like that, and 340 coming up later. All right. Michael Burnham.